Show up to the biggest interview of your life, wearing a suit held together with safety pins? 7 of them. I counted. My mom shoved that crumpled disaster into my chest 3 weeks earlier, sneered at me, said, "Wear your sister's old rag. You don't deserve new things." My sister Brittany stood right there, brand new designer suit, arms crossed, smiling like she just won another trophy. They didn't know I was walking into her company, 3 floors directly above the interview room, and the CEO? She took one look at me, stood up, draped her own blazer over my shoulders, and said something. "That still gives me chills. I know exactly who put you in that suit. She wasn't talking about my parents. Stick around, because what happened next? It destroyed my sister's entire career in under 10 minutes. And by the end of this video, you're gonna understand something crucial. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones writing the script for your failure. Before we roll, if you're new here, I'm Lauren. This channel, The Payback Vault, is all about real people who got screwed over, and then flipped the whole table. Drop a like if you've ever been the family scapegoat. Comment where you're watching from. I'm in Portland. It's 11 p.m. and I'm still not over what happened. Let me take you back to the beginning. Portland, Oregon. Nice house, 2 cars. Backyard fence repainted twice. My dad Craig worked union electrical jobs for 30 years. My mom Tammy ran a dental front desk. We weren't broke, not even close. But you'd never know that listening to them talk whenever. I needed something new shoes for school. Can't afford that right now, Lauren. Wear Brittany's old ones. Graphing calculator for AP math. Your sister's still works fine. Laptop for college? They handed me Brittany's old MacBook, the one she'd already replaced with a brand new one they bought her. I went to community college. They said that's all they could manage. Meanwhile, Brittany's room got converted into a guest suite the year after she moved out. $30,000. New flooring. Sliding glass door to the backyard. When I asked for help with textbooks that semester, my mom looked me dead in the eyes and said, "We just don't have it, Lauren." You know that. I believed her for years. That's the thing about being the second daughter in a family like mine. You don't just get less. You get told you deserve less, and eventually you start building your entire life around that lie. I became a graphic designer, freelance, worked off an iPad with a cracked screen because I couldn't afford a new one, taught myself everything, color theory, typography, layout, from YouTube tutorials and free courses. No student loans, no safety net. My portfolio was legit. I knew it was good. But every time I thought about applying for a real agency job, I'd hear Brittany's voice in my head. 2 years ago, Thanksgiving dinner. She said, right in front of our parents, "You're talented, Lauren, but you don't have the discipline for a full-time role." That's just being honest. My mother nodded. So I stayed freelance. I stayed small. I stayed exactly where they put me, until 5 weeks ago. That's when I saw a listing for a junior designer position at Ridgewell Creative, one of the best agencies in Portland. The job description might as well have had my name on it. I stared at it for 2 hours before I hit submit. 3 days later, interview confirmation. I should have been excited. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table and felt my stomach drop, because I knew what came next. I'd have to tell my parents, and I'd have to ask for help. Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Same table, same seats, same ritual. Mom at the head, Dad in the garage until food was ready. I sat in the middle, close enough to be useful, far enough to be ignored. I waited until Mom set her fork down. "I got an interview," I said, "at a design agency. A good one." She didn't look up. "That's nice, honey." Beat. "Oh, did I tell you? Brittany just got another raise? 3rd one in 2 years. Her boss absolutely loves her." She redirected the conversation like changing lanes without a blinker. My interview wasn't worth a full stop. It was a speed bump on the way to talking about. Brittany, I need a suit, I said. Something professional. My mother set her napkin down slow, the way she does right before she drops a hammer. Lauren, we already spent so much getting you through school. Do you know what tuition cost us? It hadn't. Cost them much. Community college. I paid half myself. But she said it like she'd financed Harvard. Your sister has a suit. A perfectly good one. I'll dig it out. Mom, it won't fit. Brittany's taller than me. And it's old. Then make it work. She picked up her fork. You don't deserve new things, Lauren. Not when you haven't proven you can keep a job longer than 6 months. That sentence landed right where it always landed, in the center of my chest. That spot that's been soft since I was 12. I didn't argue. There's no point arguing with someone who's already written the verdict before the trial. When I left, that night, my mother handed me a garment bag. The cheap kind, basically a trash bag with a zipper. Inside, a charcoal suit that smelled like the back of a closet. 2 sizes too big, shoulder pads from another decade. A loose button on the left cuff. I took it home, laid it on my bed, stared at it. Then I got out the safety pins. The night before the interview, I stood in my bathroom, cracked tile, flickering light, and pinned that suit together. Pinned. The waist. Pinned the hem where it dragged. Folded the cuffs and pinned those too. 7 safety pins total. I counted them. I almost didn't go. I stood there looking at myself in that mirror, a suit held together by metal and stubbornness, and I thought, they're right. I look like exactly what they think I am. Then I looked at my portfolio on the cracked iPad propped against the sink. 16 projects, 3 rebrands, a nonprofit campaign that increased donations by 40%. My work was good. It had always been good. If they judged me by this suit, they didn't deserve my work. I hung the suit on the only hook in my closet and turned off the light. Morning of the interview. I got dressed in the lobby restroom of Ridgewell Creatives building. Took the bus. The suit was too bulky to wear on public transit without people staring, so I carried it in the garment bag and changed in a stall. Standing in front of the restroom mirror, I pulled the jacket straight and checked the pins. That's when I noticed it. Inside the collar, stitched in faded thread, were 2 initials. TM not BM, not Brittany Metcalf. TM Tammy Metcalf. This wasn't Brittany's suit. It was my mother's. From the 90s, maybe earlier. The cut, the shoulder, pads, the fabric, decades old. Brittany had never worn this suit. My mother had told me it was your sister's old suit. That was the first lie. The first one I could prove. I adjusted the pins, walked into the lobby, pressed the elevator button for the 6th floor. The receptionist smiled at me the way people smile at someone they feel sorry for. I smiled back. I didn't need her pity. I needed 20 minutes in a room with whoever was hiring. The interview panel was 3 people. 2 mid-level managers flanking the center chair. In the middle sat a woman in her early 50s, silver-streaked hair, pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She looked up when I walked in, and her eyes did something I didn't expect. She didn't look at my face first. She looked at my shoulders, at the way the suit hung 2 inches past my actual frame, at the safety pin catching the overhead light near my left cuff. Then she looked at my face. Her expression shifted, not to pity, but to something sharper. Recognition, like she was comparing what she was seeing to something she'd been told. She glanced down at a tablet on the table, tapped it once, looked back at me, then she stood up, walked around the table, took off her own blazer, navy, fitted, expensive, and held it out to me. "Wear this," she said. "And sit down." I took it. I put it on. It fit perfectly. The interview lasted 45 minutes. They asked about my portfolio, my process, my experience with brand identity. I answered everything. I was good. I knew I was good. At the end, the two managers left. The woman in the center, Donna Hale, CEO and founder of Ridgewell Creative, stayed. She looked at me across the table and said very quietly, "I know exactly who put you in that suit." I assumed she meant my parents, but there was something in the way she said who, singular, specific, like she knew a name. I didn't ask. I shook her hand and left, wearing her blazer. She told me to keep it until I came back. I walked to the bus stop in a CEO's blazer and my mother's 30-year-old suit. And I didn't know yet that I'd just walked into the middle of my sister's carefully constructed lie. Brittany called that evening. I was back in my apartment hanging Donna Hale's blazer on the hook next to the pinned suit. "Hey, how'd it go?" Her voice was bright, interested, the way she always sounded when she wanted information. Good. I think it felt good. Where was it again? She'd already asked me this a week earlier. I'd told her then. Now she was asking again. "Ridgewell Creative," I said. 2 seconds of silence. Not 1, not 3, exactly 2. The length of time it takes someone to absorb something they already knew but needed to hear confirmed. "Oh, cool," she said. "Good luck." She hung up. I set my phone down. Something felt off. I couldn't name it yet, but it was there. A frequency, just below hearing, like a dog whistle only my subconscious could detect. Days later, coffee shop on Hawthorne, the one with the wobbly tables and the barista who always spells my name wrong. Lauren Metcalf? I turned. Megan Sawyer. We overlapped at Portland Community College, both in the design program. She'd gone full-time at an agency. I went freelance. We weren't close, but we were friendly. She sat down. We caught up. She asked about freelance. I asked about her job. "Still at Ridgewell?" She tilted her head. "You know your sister works there, right?" The room got very quiet. Not literally. Espresso machine was still grinding, some kid was still yelling about a muffin. But inside my head, every other sound shut off. "What?" "Brittany. She's on the 3rd floor, senior brand strategist." "Been there like 4 years." Megan said it casually, like it was public knowledge, like everyone knew. Everyone except me. Brittany had never told me the name of her company. Every time I'd asked, "An agency downtown or a creative firm?" You wouldn't know it. I'd stopped asking because I figured she didn't want me comparing my freelance work to her corporate career, but she worked at Ridgewell. 3 floors above the room where I'd interviewed. "What floor did you say?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "3rd. She's up in strategy." I set my coffee down. I left the coffee shop and pulled out my phone, typed, "Brittany Metcalf, Ridgewell Creative, have." You ever found out a family member was deliberately keeping something from you? Something that changed how you saw everything? Drop a comment. I'll read them. The Ridgewell website had a team page, clean layout, professional headshots. I scrolled until I found her. Brittany Metcalf, senior brand strategist. The headshot was polished, studio lighting. The kind of photo that says, "I belong here." Below it, a bio paragraph. I read the summary line first. Overcame significant family hardship to pursue a career in creative strategy. Family hardship. I read it again. Brittany. Lived in a paid-off apartment they helped buy. She drove a car our parents co-signed. She went to a 4-year university on their dime. She had never, not once, gone without. I clicked the full bio, and I read it. Growing up in a household where resources were scarce, I learned early that creativity was my only way out. I put myself through community college while working part-time to support my family. I wore hand-me-downs and shared a room with my sister until I was 18. Design wasn't a career choice, it was survival. I stopped breathing. Community college? That was me. I went to community college. Brittany went to university. Working part-time to support the family? That was me. I sent money home when I freelanced. Brittany never sent a cent. Hand-me-downs? That was me. I wore Brittany's old clothes. Brittany always had new ones. Shared a room? Technically true until I was 10 and Brittany was 14. Then our parents gave Brittany her own room and I stayed in the smaller one. Every single detail in that bio was my life. Not hers. Mine. She hadn't exaggerated. She hadn't embellished. She had taken my entire story, detail by detail, and put her name on it. She wore my life the way I wore her suit, something that didn't belong to her, held together by the assumption that no one would check. I sat in my apartment and stared at that screen until the words blurred. Then I screenshotted every line, saved them in a folder named Proof. My hands weren't shaking from sadness. They were shaking from something colder. I looked at my cracked iPad propped on the desk next to the laptop she'd handed down to me 3 years ago. The same desk where I'd built every project in my portfolio. The same desk where I'd taught myself. Everything she now claimed she'd lived through. She'd stolen my story. And she'd used it to build a career 3 floors above the room where she'd tried to make sure I'd fail. I picked up my phone and texted Megan. "Can we talk about Brittany?" 3 dots. Then, "I was wondering when you'd ask." My phone rang before I could text back. "Mom? So, how'd the interview go, sweetie?" Her voice was lighter than usual, almost cheerful. That put me on alert immediately. My mother was never cheerful about my career. "Fine. I think it went well." "Oh, good. But here came the pivot. Brittany says those companies are really competitive. The good ones, I mean. Don't feel bad if you don't hear back. She wasn't calling to congratulate me. She was calling to manage my expectations downward. And she was using Brittany's name as the authority. "I'll be fine, Mom. I just don't want you to be disappointed again. Remember when you didn't get that freelance contract? The wine label one? You were so upset." She reached back 18 months to pull out a failure I'd already processed and moved past. "I remember," I said. "I'm just saying, be realistic," I told. Her I had to go. I hung up, and then I sat there. Because when had my mother talked to Brittany about my interview? I hadn't told Brittany which company until after the interview. But Mom was quoting Brittany's opinion about those companies as if they'd already discussed it. They'd talked before the call, maybe before the interview. I opened my laptop, clicked on Brittany's full bio one more time. And this time, I didn't. Just see the words. I saw the architecture. She hadn't thrown together a quick lie. She'd built a narrative over years, brick by brick, review by review, using my life as the blueprint, and now I needed to know why. I met Megan at a park near the Ridgewell office the next afternoon. She brought 2 iced coffees and sat on a bench facing the street, like someone who'd been waiting to have this conversation but needed to be careful about where she had it. "How long has she been telling that story?" I asked. Megan took a sip. "Since her first performance review, 3 years ago. Donna, that's our CEO, she does these annual sit-downs where she asks everyone to talk about their journey. Where they came from, what drives them. Brittany turned hers into a whole thing, the hardship backstory. Working her way up from nothing, Donna ate it up. It basically became Brittany's brand inside the company," Megan continued. "The resilience narrative. She brings it up in client pitches, team meetings, mentoring sessions. Last year, she did a company-wide talk about overcoming adversity, standing ovation." Megan paused. "But some of the details never made sense to me." "Like what?" "She told everyone she put herself through community college. But I've heard her mention spring break in Cabo twice. Community college kids working part-time don't usually do Cabo." Megan shrugged. I figured maybe she was exaggerating. People do that. She wasn't exaggerating, I said. She was using my life. Megan looked at me. She didn't look surprised. She looked like someone who'd suspected something and just had it confirmed. There's something else, she said. Last week, right after your interview, Brittany went straight to Donna's office, closed the door. 20 minutes. She never does that. She usually catches Donna in the hallway or sends a Slack message. But that day, she went in and shut the door. I turned that over. Brittany going to Donna right after my interview. The interview where Donna had looked at me in that pinned suit and said, "I know exactly who put you in that suit." Do you think Donna would talk to me? I asked. Megan set her coffee down. She already asked HR about you. The email came 2 days later. From Donna Hale's executive assistant, sent to my personal address, not through the hiring portal. Ms. Metcalf, Ms. Hale would like to meet with you at your earliest convenience. This is not regarding your application. Please reply with your availability. Not regarding my application. Something else, I replied within the hour. We set it for the next day. Noon. I walked into Ridgewell Creative for the second time. This time through the main entrance, not the interview side door. The receptionist recognized me. She didn't smile. The same way. Donna's office was on the 4th floor. Corner unit. Glass walls, but the blinds were half drawn. She was standing when I walked in, which I later realized was deliberate. She didn't want to be sitting behind a desk like a judge. She wanted this to be a conversation. "Sit down, Lauren," she said. I sat. On the desk between us, partially visible beneath a legal pad, was a manila folder. I could see a tab label. Metcalf B. She didn't reach for it. Not yet. "Tell me about your family," she said. There was no warmth in the question. It wasn't small talk. It was a deposition, so I told her. Everything. The hand-me-downs, the community college, the freelance work, the cracked iPad, the safety pins, the suit, the initials stitched inside, TM, not Brittany's, my mother's. Donna listened without interrupting. When I finished, she took off her reading glasses and set them on the desk. "Your sister," she said, "told me a very different version." "For 3 years," Donna said, "Brittany has told me, and everyone in this company, that she grew up in poverty, that she put herself through community college, that she worked part-time to support her family while building a design career from nothing." Her voice was controlled, but there was something underneath it. Not anger, betrayal. I gave her a raise based on that story. I featured her in our company newsletter. I held her up as an example of what this firm values. She picked up the folder. Opened it. "When you walked into that interview room in a suit held together with safety pins, I recognized the story. But I recognized the wrong version. The person sitting in front of me looked like the person Brittany had described being. And Brittany, the Brittany I know, looks nothing like that." She set the folder down. "That's why I gave you my blazer. Because I was starting to understand that the story I'd been told for 3 years might not belong to the person who told it." I sat very still. When I said, "I know exactly who put you in that suit," Donna said, "I wasn't talking about your parents." She didn't need to say the rest, but she did. I was talking about Brittany. Now, you know what the CEO knew, but we haven't gotten to the text messages yet. What do you think Brittany told my mother the night before that interview? Drop your guess. In the comments. I didn't confront Brittany right away. Donna had given me something more valuable than information. She'd given me the knowledge that someone else saw the lie. For the first time in my life, I wasn't alone inside it. But I made a mistake first. I made the mistake of thinking that if I just asked Brittany directly, she'd crack. That the weight of the truth would be enough. I texted her, "Can we meet?" "Just us. Coffee," she agreed. Suggested a cafe on Alberta Street. I got there early. Chose a table in the middle of the room. Not a booth, not a corner. Open, visible. I didn't want to be boxed in. Brittany arrived 10 minutes late, wearing a blazer I'd never seen before. Probably new, probably expensive. She sat down, ordered an oat milk latte, and smiled. "What's up?" "I want to ask you something," I said. "What exactly do you do at Ridgewell?" Her smile held, but her eyes moved just slightly to the left and down. The micro-expression of someone calculating brand strategy. "You know that. I saw your bio on the website." The smile flickered. 1 second, then it was back, wider than before. "Oh yeah, pretty standard corporate stuff. They make us all write those." She waved a hand, dismissive. "It said you put yourself through community college. It said you wore hand-me-downs and worked part-time to support the family. That's my life, Brittany, not yours." She set her latte down. And then she did something I should have expected but didn't. She started to cry. Not ugly crying. Not sobbing. A single perfect tear, followed by a careful sniffle, followed by the exact right tremor in her voice. It was a performance, but it was a good one. "You think I would sabotage my own sister?" she said, voice cracking in the right places. "Is that what this is about? I didn't tell you I worked there because I wanted you to get the job on your own merit, Lauren, on your terms, not because you're my sister." She wiped her eye with one finger. "Precise. I can't believe you'd think that about me, after everything I've done for you." And just like that, I was the villain. The paranoid little sister who couldn't handle her older sister's success. The ungrateful one. The jealous one. I looked at her across that table and I saw it clearly. The mechanism, the way she redirected the conversation, the way she turned my accusation into her wound, the way she made my evidence sound like my insecurity. She'd been doing this our entire lives. I just hadn't had a name for it until now. Didn't have the hard proof yet. So I pulled back. "You're right," I said. "I'm sorry. I've been stressed about the interview." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I get it. I'm here for you." I left the cafe. Brittany stayed behind. As I walked to my car, I glanced back through the window. She was already on her phone, calling someone. Her face had changed completely. The tears were gone. What was left was something focused, hard. I didn't know who she was calling, but I had a feeling it was the same person she always called when she needed something handled. The following Sunday, I went to my parents' house for dinner. I needed something, and the only way to get it was to sit at that table one more time. My mother was in the kitchen when I arrived. She'd left her phone on the counter, face down, the way she always left it, as if that made it private. She went to the backyard to check on the grill. I had maybe 3 minutes. I picked up the phone. No passcode. My mother didn't believe in them. "If you've got nothing to hide, you don't need a lock," she'd said once. The irony of that would hit me in about 45 seconds. I opened her messages, scrolled to Brittany's name, tapped. The thread was long, months of messages, but I scrolled to the date I needed. 3 days before my interview. Brittany's message time-stamped 9:47 p.m. She applied to my company, Mom. Don't let her buy a new suit. Let her wear the old one. She'll bomb the interview and stop dreaming. Trust me. I read it twice. Then a third time. She'll bomb the interview. Stop dreaming. Trust me. Below it, my mother's reply. "Okay, I'll handle it." 3 words. No hesitation. No pushback. No, "that's cruel," or "she's your sister." Just, "I'll handle it." But that wasn't all. I scrolled further up the thread, 2 weeks before the interview. Another message from Brittany. "She's been talking about applying to agencies. Keep telling her freelance is more her speed. She listens to you more than she thinks. Mom's reply. Already on it. Told her last week she doesn't have the discipline. For full time. She didn't argue. Doesn't have the discipline. That phrase. I'd heard it from Brittany at Thanksgiving. I'd heard it from my mother in a dozen different forms. And now I could see the pipeline. Brittany fed the line to Mom. Mom delivered it to me. And I absorbed it like it was original thought. The words I'd been using to hold myself back were never my own. They were manufactured. Assembly line cruelty. I took screenshots. 6 of them total, because my hands were shaking and the first 2 were blurry. I put the phone back, face down, exactly where it had been. My mother came back inside. Dinners. Almost ready, she said. Set the table. I set the table. Put the forks on the right side because that's how she liked it. Poured water into glasses that matched. Sat down. Ate pot roast. Listened to my father talk about a wiring job in Beaverton. Smiled and nodded and said, "That sounds good, Dad, in all the right places." Inside, I was holding a grenade. She'll bomb. The interview and stop dreaming. My mother hadn't made me wear that suit because we couldn't afford a new one. She hadn't said, "You don't deserve new things," because she believed it. She'd said it because Brittany told her to. The suit. The words. The humiliation, all of it, designed by my sister. Executed by my mother. I drove home that night with the screenshots on my phone and a question I couldn't stop asking. How long had Brittany been running this family? Monday morning. I sat across from Donna Hale for the second time. I didn't make small talk. I opened my phone, found the screenshots, and slid it across the desk. Donna picked it up. She read. 10 seconds of silence. I counted, because I was counting everything now. She set the phone down. She didn't look at me with pity. She looked at me the way you look at evidence. She told your mother to sabotage the interview, Donna said. Not a question. Yes. And your mother did it. Yes. Donna leaned back in her chair. She was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was different. Lower, slower, like she was being very careful about what she said next. I hired Brittany Metcalf 4 years ago. I promoted her twice. I gave her a raise last year based on a performance review in which she described growing up wearing hand-me-downs and working her way through community college. She paused. Her entire brand in this company is built on your life, Lauren, and she tried to destroy you to protect it. She opened the manila folder on her desk. Inside, Brittany's performance reviews, her company bio draft, her mentoring program, application, all of it built on the same lie. I'm going to talk to her, Donna said. And then I'm going to talk to HR. I need to verify some things. Enrollment records, employment history. But I want you to know, the position you interviewed for is still open. She looked me in the eye. Don't tell your sister. Let me handle this properly. I nodded. I took my phone back. I walked out of Ridgewell Creative and sat in my car for 15 minutes before I started the engine. Not because I was crying, because I needed to decide what came next. It moved faster than I expected. She called Brittany into her office that same afternoon. I wasn't there. Donna told me about it later, after everything was over. But I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, because Donna remembered every word. Brittany walked in confident. She thought she'd been called in for a project update, maybe a compliment. She was wearing a silk blouse and carrying her moleskin notebook, the one she wrote her career milestones in. Donna didn't ask her to sit down. Tell me about your community college experience, Donna said. Brittany didn't hesitate. She launched into it. The same story, the same details, the same practiced cadence she'd used for 3 years, the part-time job, the hand-me-downs, the struggle. Donna, let her finish, then, interesting, because I spoke with your sister. And she told me a very different story about who went to community college. Brittany's face changed, not all at once. It was more like watching ice form on a windshield, slow, then all at once, and then she did what she always does. What she'd done to me in the cafe. What she'd done our entire lives, she cried. Lauren has always been jealous of me, Brittany said, voice shaking perfectly. She's been like this since we were kids. She's coming here to ruin my career because she can't build her own. She looked at Donna with wet eyes. My sister is manipulative. She's always been manipulative. And now she's using you to get to me. Donna told me later that she almost hesitated. Almost. Brittany was a 4-year employee. I was an applicant she'd met twice. Brittany cried the right tears and said the right words and made it sound like I was the one running a con. But Donna had the screenshots. And she had something else. The look on my face when I'd walked into that interview room in a suit held together with pins. No one fakes that. I need to verify some things, Donna told Brittany. We'll talk again. Brittany left the office thinking she'd won. She walked out with her moleskin tucked under her arm and her composure mostly intact. But in the hallway, Megan saw her pull out her phone and duck into the stairwell. Megan heard her whisper, "They're going to believe Lauren. We need to get our stories straight." A pause. Mom? Still calling the same number. Still using the same weapon. Donna didn't leave it to feelings. She verified. She called Portland Community College's registrar. No enrollment record for Brittany Metcalf. There was one for Lauren Metcalf. 2 years, design program. Graduated with a 3.6 GPA. She pulled Brittany's original hiring materials. Brittany had listed a 4-year degree from Oregon State. No mention of community college. The hardship story hadn't appeared until the first performance review. 6 months after she was hired, she contacted HR. They pulled the full file. Everything Brittany had told Donna, told the mentoring program, told clients and colleagues, all of it traced back to a story that started in a performance review and grew into an identity that wasn't hers. Donna sent me an email. Wednesday night. 1 line. Friday, 10 a.m. Conference room B. Bring everything. Conference room B had glass walls. I mention that because it matters. Everyone in the open office could see in. And they could see who walked out. I arrived at 9:50 a.m. Donna was already there. So was the HR director, a woman named Bridget with a legal pad and a pen that kept clicking. Megan sat in the corner, not as a participant, as a witness. Donna had asked her to be there. At 9:58, Brittany walked in. She was dressed for a performance review, not a reckoning. Black pantsuit, gold earrings, the moleskin notebook she carried everywhere. She smiled at Donna, smiled at Bridget, glanced at me, and her smile tightened just slightly, like a rubber band stretched 1 notch too far. "Have a seat," Donna said. Brittany sat across from me, set her notebook on the table, folded her hands on top of it, composed, controlled. Donna opened. "Brittany, I've called this meeting to clarify some inconsistencies that have come to my attention." Brittany nodded. Professional. Unfazed. "I'd like to hear from you first," Donna said. In your own words. And Brittany, right on cue, delivered her closing argument before anyone had even presented the case. "My sister has always struggled with comparison," she said, voice measured and sad. "She didn't get the same opportunities I did, and I think that's been hard for her. I love Lauren, but she has a pattern of—" She paused, choosing her words like a surgeon choosing a scalpel, reinterpreting situations to match how she feels. She applied here without telling me, and now she's trying to use our family dynamics to get something she hasn't earned. She looked at me. 1 tear. Right on time. Perfect trajectory down her left cheek. I built my career here from nothing. and it hurts that she's trying to take that from me. The room was quiet. Bridget wrote something down. Donna opened her folder. Brittany? Donna said, "Your bio on our company website states that you attended community college while supporting your family." She pulled out a single sheet of paper, a printed verification from Portland Community College's registrar, and set it on the table. "There is no enrollment record for Brittany Metcalf," Donna said. "Not in any program, not in any semester." She let that sit for 3 seconds. "There is, however, a complete enrollment record for Lauren Metcalf. 2 years design program, graduated with a 3.6 GPA. Brittany didn't look at the paper. She looked at the wall behind Donna's head. "Records get mixed up all the time," Brittany said. Her voice was still steady, but the pitch had shifted half a note higher. "I might have used a different last name for a semester. I was going through some personal things." Bridget looked up from her legal pad. "Which name?" Silence. 3 seconds. 4, 5. Brittany opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I'd have to check my records." Bridget wrote something down. The pen click was the loudest sound in the room. Donna pulled a second document from the folder. A printout. Highlighted sections. "This is your performance review from 2 years ago," Donna said. "During your annual conversation with me, you described growing up in a household where you wore hand-me-downs and worked part-time after school to pay for art supplies. You said you shared a room with your sister until you were 18. You said design was, and I'm quoting your own words, not a career choice but a survival tool." She looked up from the page. "Lauren," she said, turning to me, "is that your experience?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't lean forward. I looked at Donna and said, "Yes, word for word." I felt Brittany's jaw tighten from across the table. I didn't look at her. I didn't need to. Megan cleared her throat. Everyone turned. "I've worked with Brittany for 3 years, Megan said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were pressed flat, against her thighs, steadying herself. She told me the same story at a team dinner about a year ago. I remember because she described her sister as the one who had it easy. She said her sister got everything handed to her while Brittany struggled." Megan looked at me. "That's not what I see," Bridget wrote. Donna nodded. Brittany stared at Megan with the kind of look that says, "I will remember this." Donna reached into the folder one final time. "And there's this." Donna connected her laptop. To the conference room screen, the display flickered on, my screenshots. Brittany's text to our mother, full resolution, every word visible to everyone in the room. She applied to my company, Mom. Don't let her buy a new suit. Let her wear the old one. She'll bomb the interview and stop dreaming. Trust me. Donna read it aloud. Slowly, every word given its full weight. Then she reached for the conference phone in the center of the table. She dialed a number. Speaker on. It rang twice. My mother answered. "Hello? Mrs. Metcalf, this is Donna Hale. I'm the CEO of Ridgewell Creative, where your daughter Brittany works. I'm calling to verify something. Did Brittany send you a text message 3 weeks ago asking you to prevent Lauren from buying a new suit for her interview?" Silence. I could hear my mother breathing through the speaker. Shallow, fast breaths. The sound of someone realizing the walls have ears. Mrs. Metcalf. "Yes," my mother said quietly, like the word cost her something. Yes, she did. The conference. Room phone seemed to amplify the silence that followed. Brittany stood up. The chair shot backward on the conference room floor, a scraping sound that everyone on the other side of the glass walls heard. "This is insane," her voice cracked. Not the controlled crack from the cafe, not the precision tears from 10 minutes ago. This was real. She went through Mom's phone. "That's a violation of privacy. She was spinning. "Looking for a foothold. Finding none. You're all believing her," she pointed at me. Her hand was shaking. She's the one who... She came here to... She looked around the room. Bridget was writing without looking up. Megan was staring at the table. Donna was watching her with an expression I can only describe as clinical disappointment. Nobody met her eyes. Nobody spoke. The only sound was Bridget's pen and the still open phone line where my mother had gone silent. Up. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I spoke the way you speak when you've rehearsed something in the shower for 3 days and it still doesn't feel like enough. So you just say the truth and let it stand on its own. You took my story, Brittany. She was still standing, still shaking. You took my community college, my part-time jobs, my hand-me-downs. You wore them to every meeting, every review, every promotion in this building. You turned my life into your brand. Paused. And then you made sure I'd walk into this building looking exactly like what you told everyone I was. Someone who doesn't deserve anything new. I looked at her. She looked back. For the first time in my life, she had nothing to say. But I'm the one who lived it, I said. That story is mine, and you don't get to wear it anymore. Donna spoke into the quiet. Brittany, effective immediately, you are suspended pending a formal HR investigation. Bridget will contact you about next steps. Please collect your personal belongings from your desk. Brittany picked up her bag. She left the moleskin notebook on the table. She walked to the door, opened it, stopped, turned and looked at me for 2 seconds, maybe 3. I don't know what she was looking for in my face. Guilt, maybe. Regret. Some sign that I'd take it all back if she just asked nicely enough. She didn't find it. She walked out of conference room B. Through the glass walls, the entire open office watched her cross the floor. No one said a word. She didn't look at any of them. Megan stood next to me. Donna closed the folder. The position is yours, she said. If you want it. I said yes. The fallout came in waves. That evening, my mother called. Her voice was different, shaky, defensive, pitched somewhere between anger and something I hadn't heard from her before. Fear, maybe. You went through my phone, she said. How could you do that to your own family? I sat on my couch in my studio. Apartment, the same couch where I'd pinned the suit together, and I let her finish. Lauren, families handle things privately. You didn't need to involve her boss. You didn't need to embarrass Brittany like that. Whatever she said in those texts, she was just trying to protect her career. You don't understand the pressure she's under. Mom. What? You gave me a suit from the 1990s and told me I didn't deserve new things. You said it was Brittany's. It was yours. And Brittany told you to do it. Silence. My father's voice from somewhere in the background. Just let it go, Lauren. Let it go. The family motto. Let it go when they take from you. Let it go when they lie about you. Let it go when the person you thought was your sister turns out to be the architect of every humiliation you've ever swallowed. I'm not letting it go, I said. I'm letting you go. I could hear my mother start to respond. I kept talking. If you want to talk to me again, it starts with the truth, not Brittany's version, not the version where I'm the problem, the real one. And until you're ready for that, I don't have anything else to say. I hung up. I set the phone face down on the couch, the same way my mother always set hers. The irony wasn't lost on me. I didn't cry. I sat there and breathed, and looked at the blazer hanging on the hook by the door. Donna's blazer, still there. Still the only professional thing in my closet that had ever been offered to me without conditions. The next week, the rest of it unraveled. Megan texted me. Brittany had been formally terminated, not just for the fabricated bio. During the TS HR review, they discovered she'd been claiming a tax deduction for a dependent family member. She didn't have one. Second layer of fraud, separate from the narrative theft, but built on the same foundation, the assumption that no one would ever check. Brittany's LinkedIn went dark within hours. Her Instagram, the one filled with carefully curated posts about self-made success and building something from nothing, went private. The last post before it disappeared? From the day I didn't get that freelance wine label contract, 18 months earlier, the caption read, "Grateful for another big week. Hard work always pays off." She'd posted it the same day I'd sat in my apartment wondering if I'd ever be good enough. I stared at that cached screenshot for a long time. She hadn't just stolen my story. She'd built her victories on my defeats. Every time I fell, she climbed, and then Brittany called our parents. Not to apologize, not to explain, to blame. "You should have stopped Lauren," she told our mother. Megan heard this from my Aunt Connie, Mom's younger sister, who heard it directly from Mom. "You let this happen. If you just kept her under control, none of this would have happened." Under control. Like I was a variable in Brittany's equation that someone forgot to solve for. My mother, to her credit, was stunned. Not because she suddenly understood what she'd done, that would take longer, maybe forever, but because the daughter she'd spent 30 years championing had just turned on her without hesitation. Brittany didn't need Mom anymore. The tool had outlived its usefulness. My parents lost both daughters that month. I stopped calling. Brittany blamed them and stopped calling too. The house with the renovated guest suite sat quiet. My Aunt Connie called me on a Wednesday. She'd never been the type to get involved. Fourth-grade teacher, avoided conflict the way some people avoid highway merges. But she called. "I should have said something years ago," she said. Her voice was small. "I heard Brittany on the phone with your mother once, about a year ago. She said, 'Don't let Lauren apply anywhere serious. She'll mess it up anyway.'" "Your mother laughed. I closed my eyes. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to start a fight. I told myself it wasn't my business. But it was. It was about you, and I should have told you. "Thank you for telling me now," I said. "Lauren, you were always the strong one, even when they didn't see it." I hung up. I sat with it. I let it settle. If someone in your family has been telling your story as if it were theirs, you're not crazy. You're not jealous. You see the truth, and you deserve to own it. My first day at Ridgewell Creative was a Monday. I wore a blazer I bought myself. Dark gray, fitted, no pins. I'd picked it out at a second-hand shop on Division Street, not because I couldn't afford new, but because I wanted to choose it. The choosing mattered more than the price tag. Megan met me in the lobby with a coffee. "Welcome to the actual team," she said. We took the elevator to the 3rd floor. Brittany's old desk had been cleared out. Someone had already moved the nameplate. The drawer organizer was gone. The motivational quote she'd tacked to the partition, "Built, not given," had been taken down. I didn't sit at her desk. I chose one by the window, 2 rows over. I didn't need to step into her space. I needed my own. Donna came by around 10 a.m. She didn't say anything big, just nodded, the same way she had when she'd handed me the blazer that first day, and said, "Good to have you here." I set up my laptop. A new one, company issued. I placed my cracked iPad next to it. I didn't throw the iPad away. I wouldn't. Every project I'd ever built was on that screen. Every late night, every free tutorial. Every client I'd chased down and delivered for. The cracks were part of the record. That evening, I went home to my apartment. I hung the new blazer on the hook by the door. The same hook that had held the pinned suit. The same hook that had held Donna's borrowed blazer. 2 blazers now. One that was given to me by someone who saw the truth. One that I bought with money I earned. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Same cracked tile. Same flickering light. But the woman looking back was different. Not because she'd gotten a job or confronted her sister. or proved her parents wrong. Those things happened and they mattered, but they weren't the change. The change was simpler than that. The change was that I could look at my own reflection and not hear Brittany's voice translating it for me. Not hear my mother measuring it against her sister. Not hear anyone telling me what the image in the mirror deserved. For the first time, the mirror was mine. Just mine. Hay gave me a suit that didn't fit and told me it was all I deserved. But the suit was never the problem. The problem was a family that needed me to stay small so one of them could feel big. I don't wear hand-me-downs anymore. Not the clothes. Not the story. This one is mine. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. Seriously. This wasn't easy to share, but if you've ever been the scapegoat, the second choice, the one who was told to be realistic while someone else got handed everything, you're not alone, and you're not what they told you you were. This channel, The Payback Vault, is all about stories where the underdog wins, not through luck, but through proof, patience, and showing up even when the whole world wants you to stay down. If you connected with this story, drop a like. It helps more people find these videos. Comment with one word, mirror, if you've ever had to reclaim your own story from someone who stole it. And subscribe if you want to see what happened next, because Brittany isn't done. And neither am I. I'll see you in the next one.